Welcome, everybody. We're going to call to order our first budget work session for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. Today's April 6th, and we are at 6:02 p.m. It's the work session for the town of Narragansett fiscal year 2023 budget with staff. So what we're going to do, well, thanks to all the senior management team for making it out tonight. I'm going to start with the town manager, Jim Tierney, for a quick introduction, and then we'll go over to our finance director, Chris Spagnoli. Jim?
Thank you. This evening's is the first of 3 budget sessions that the council holds where they speak directly with the department heads and get more intimate details of the exact expenditures associated with each department. It gives the public also an opportunity to delve deeper into the budget because the document itself is very lengthy and small print and doesn't provide full descriptions of the items in it, which is pretty standard in most communities. These hearings allow the public to get to more information about the budget that is proposed for the town. And I'd like to thank the department heads, those who are here tonight and will be here 2 more nights, that have worked diligently. We've gone back and forth on these budgets, and they'll continue to evolve between now and final adoption as different things occur, emergency expenditures and the like, or retirements or anything like that. So without further ado, thank you very much.
Good evening. Thank you, Jim. Good evening, Town Council. I just wanted to remind everybody that the unit budget is $67,171,635 for 2023. It's about a 6% increase over last year. Of that, 57% is for transfers and 36% is for salary and benefits. That leaves about 7% of the budget for supplies and non-required products. The residential property tax rate, as presented, would be $9.19 per thousand. Commercial, $12.41 per thousand, which represents a 3.71% increase in the tax rate. It's 4% for the levy. Also, during this work session, I'd like to recommend thoughtful consideration for the following 3 topics that are going to make this a challenging budget for you. The appropriation of the Arpa Funds, the use of unassigned fund balance, bless you, which is currently at 23.8%, and also a bond referendum possible for the November ballot. Our road bond only has $2.6 million left in it. That could take us for another year or 2. Also, in consideration for possibly a road bond and other infrastructure bond at the same time to help with any other things we may have. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Susan Fairhurst with Human Resources.
Thanks. Susan, just real quick before you start, I just want to mention just a couple quick things for the public. Councilor Kopech is out of town this week, so she won't be joining us. And then Councilor Cicilline-Bonanno will be here tonight. She's just a little bit late, so she'll be here shortly. And that's it. I just want to let everyone know. And also, if anyone from the public is interested in speaking tonight, tomorrow night, or Monday night, we'll take public comment at the end of the night. So thanks, Susan. Go ahead. Thanks. Patty, do you mind pushing the mic over? Just want to make sure it's all on for TV. You just have to press that button. Yep.
There's no change in the human resources budget from last year. Everything, if you go down to 5201, professional services, just to give you a brief overview of what that includes, that would be our COBRA administration, our CDL random drug testing program, and it also covers our Coastline Employee Assistance Program. Mail services, supplies, employee recruitment is obviously any advertising that I do, pre-employment physicals, pre-employment drug testing, professional meetings is our annual employee service awards, and usually our wellness fair, but that's been placed on hold the last couple of years due to COVID. And then licenses and dues, business travel, telephone services, office equipment, no changes to any of these items. So.
Great, that keeps things simple. So the only change is just the increase in full-time wages, right? Just
correct.
Okay, All right. Any questions from Counselor Murray or Trzynski for Ms. Fairhurst? Nope, good? Thank you. All right. Thank you. All right. So everyone else will be just as quick tonight, right? Next, actually, why don't, Chris, I'm just going to go back to you in between each department. And then if you have anything to add that we should know about, you can mention that in between, and then you can just introduce the next.
Okay, I have nothing to add to the human resources budget. It always stays about the same. The next is building inspection, Wayne Pimentel. He'll be doing that along with rental registration.
All right, Wayne, thank you.
All right. I'll start with building inspection first. We have one item in capital, which is a vehicle replacement for $32,000. Currently, we're using one of the vehicles in the maintenance fleet pool. The vehicle we used previously was traded in, or it was actually sold as surplus because it was not roadworthy. So we do need a vehicle replacement for building inspection, something that's an all-wheel drive vehicle. Getting to the regular budget, we do have an increase in publications. We are in a cycle this year of adopting a new code cycle, so we have to purchase new code books. So you'll see a slight increase there, as well as licensing and dues for the various certifications that must be maintained for the staff. There's also a slight increase in professional meetings. That is to attend conferences and code-related classes. Other than that, there's really no other increases in the building budget. Going over to the rental registration budget, there's really no net increases other than some of the benefit changes, but there's no other increases. Everything else is level funded relative to the rental registration program.
What line item is the rental registration program?
Thank you, Jim.
108?
No, he asked what
Are you
Could
looking?
you repeat that?
Sorry, you were mentioning the rental registration program. Is that its own line item, or is that in something else?
Page
That's,
108, yes. It's a whole nother section.
Oh, it's a whole other section.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
yeah, 108 and 109.
Gotcha, okay, so you're going over building inspection and rental registration right now, all at once, right?
Yeah, I'm doing both, yes. Yeah, I think they were, I don't think rental registration was listed separately, so, on the agenda.
For the rental registration, is that, we're moving to the, are we moving to the online?
We will be moving to the online, yes.
Is that in this, that's in the budget for this upcoming year?
Yeah, because that's through the Viewpoint program we currently have, so it's just a question of setting it up
Okay,
in the system. So we didn't have to purchase any additional software for that.
gotcha. Okay. Okay, Patrick or Eva, do you have any questions for Wayne?
Any state mandates, unfunded state mandates on the horizon here? They've been busy up there in that General Assembly.
Yeah, I'm not aware of any that affect us in building or the rental registration, other than some of the laws that they want to pass on rental registration regarding state registration.
Right.
But, I mean, we have our own program.
But no
which-
code or no green codes or anything like that coming on the
There was
horizon?
talk of green code, but it's still not going to be mandatory. They've adopted it, but it's not required,
Right, okay.
so,
All right. Thank you.
thanks.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
All right, Chris?
Okay, Just so you can see a lot through, there's a few departments that had a major turnover in staff. So that's why these benefits and salaries, you're not really seeing a 2 or 3% like you would in other people. And his was level funded because he had change in staff. So that's really affecting the salaries and budgets. So next is information resources. We start that on page 28 for your budget, and then 18 for capital. And that is Dan Holland. There he is down the end.
Test.
Evening, everybody. I have
Hey,
a
Dan.
PowerPoint presentation for you. With all the changes we've got in this budget, it's much easier to do it that way. Let's see. Just a brief overview of the department. We have 4 positions. We have a network and security administrator, 2 sysadmins, one at town hall and one at public safety, and then you have myself as manager/director. Responsibilities of the department include cybersecurity for all town systems, hardware support, software support, technology and project management, user support for all departments, implementation of new and replacement hardware, update and patch management. Operating budget for fiscal year '23, total cost of personnel and benefits is at $407,069. 50101 on your budget through 50149 is set by finance. It's all salaries, benefits, and related expenses. Next bullet item is we do have one proposed new position in the budget for a part-time GIS person to assist with GIS. And the idea is to have GIS Esri integration. Esri is the company that makes the GIS software we use. They have an online component for hosting data to support other particular types of software. And we have 3 software integrations we could do as we sit today. Dude Solutions for our asset management, the CAMA system for the tax assessor, and the third one is, I just drew a blank. Viewpoint, sorry. System that we do billing inspection for, the new rental registration where you can actually plot everything on the GIS map if we wanted to see it online. The idea is that all that data needs to get put up into the Esri online portal, in which case those software packages can access it. The third bullet point on that is the tax assessor's plat map updates. Right now they're done on paper by a third party. The idea would be to use this position to take care of those updates in coordination with the Community Development Department. There's a 2-step process for getting those approved. Additional data layers that are requested by departments is the last bullet point on that. In this case, there was a study done by Mr. DeLuca and his department a while back, and what other departments could use GIS for. A lot of it was related to public works, fire, and some in police, I believe. And the idea would be to integrate that into GIS and add additional layers. But we need somebody to do it, enter it in initially, and then keep it up to date. That's our proposal for that new part-time position. Next is the operational costs. It's sitting at $424,438. 50201 is professional services. This is when we need assistance on something that we don't have a specialty on. 202 is contracted services. This is for our website and the internet access. It just says the next bullet point, ISP and website. 305 is supplies, just basic supplies for the department related to either printing or pens, whatever. Professional meetings, level funded from the previous years, as most of this is related to one GMIS meeting for myself and any training for the other department members to keep us up on current technology. 320 is software if we need anything within the department itself. 412 is telephone services. This is for the voice over IP side of our department. 505 is equipment repair. This is what we pay for server updates for maintenance with Dell. 607 is office equipment. Again, level funded, as most of this is, related for anything we need for the department as far as computers and whatnot, if we need to use it, as well as office furniture and things like that. Picking up at 311 is the largest line item within that section at $391,460. I broke them down into 3 groups. Group 1 is software and services at $230,000. Group 2 is IT related or cybersecurity at $100,000. IT townwide at $41,000. As you know, you could probably see those don't add up, and the last bullet point is we do a 5% increase across the board on that line item, trying to anticipate any increases on those software packages. As we do the budget so far ahead that we cannot get active quotes or accurate quotes for those systems that are renewing, because we still have stuff in this fiscal year that has not renewed yet and are due in the next couple of months. So it's far too ahead. We'll dig a little deeper into those groups for you. Group 1, software and services at $230,000. That's our Tyler Munis. That's the ERP system we use for payroll, purchasing, budgeting, general ledger. If I forgot anything, jump in there, Chris. Next one, VGSI, is the revenue software. We're in the process of transferring that to a new one right now. OpenGov is a system for building inspection, for permitting. The fire department uses it for smoke detector inspections, rental registration coming on soon, and a few other items. Asset management and work orders, Public Works again, wastewater. This tracks all the different sections of those departments, tracks work orders for vehicle maintenance, as well as other things that Public Works do. And the last one is Microsoft's O365 email and Office. That is the bulk of that line item. The O365 is the hosted email in the cloud. Group 2, IT-related and cybersecurity. The small one's domain name. Next one's antivirus and support. Email filtering, which is where every email that comes in and out of town, regardless of its status as being filtered out or not, is actually logged and archived and filtered extensively. Firewall support and updates yearly, network monitoring licensing, and the 2FA services that we're actually starting to implement currently that will support that service into the future. Group 3 is out IT town-wide at $41,000. This is backup cloud storage for our primary backup system, voice over IP phone system for both Town Hall and its associated departments, as well as public safety at 40 Caswell Street. Physical security system for accessing Town Hall and 3 other buildings, as well as public safety. Cybersecurity training for end users on the network, most of the employees, actually all of the employees, and anybody who has an email address within our system is required to take that.
That may.
Yeah, well, the Zoom account is the next one that we use that for meetings extensively, and the Microsoft O365 cloud backup. This is another line item for that. Microsoft does not back up those systems. They have the live data, and that's it. Let's say next is the capital. If you want to jump into that. I've got them listed as they show up in the budget in that order.
Where is the, sorry, I'm just
Go
gonna,
ahead.
where is the capital? Is it on the website? Okay, thanks. Do you guys?
Jesse, do you want a hard copy of it?
Do you guys have a hard copy of the capital? No. You don't have one either? Okay. No, thank you. Do you want it, Patrick?
Nope.
Oh, wait, you?
Oh, for the capital?
Yeah, I have the regular one.
Okay.
You were using this stuff?
Not now, but that's
All
fine.
right, do you have it, Eva? Okay, thanks. All right, go ahead, sorry.
No worries.
Thanks, Dan.
IT number 1 is fiber optic cable maintenance. It's something we maintain yearly to maintain and/or repair the fiber optic system we have extensively in town. Remarkably, we've used almost all of it every single year for the last few years related to pole fires, accidental hits, you name it. IT number 2 is PC and server replacement, $140,000. We're due for replacing our virtual server infrastructure. We've had it for approximately 7 years at this point, or by the time it gets replaced. We actually saved quite a bit of money. I have that in another slide by doing the virtual machines. IT number 3 is IT equipment. This is for things that we do not anticipate or that comes up that we want to adopt either as a town or as a department. Number 4 is the voice over IP phone system replacement. It's $50,000 each for the next 4 years. This will allow us to put some money aside in a slow pace in order to replace the system. It'll be well overdue by that point. IT number 5 is our backup replacement We've reached a limit on the internal storage we have here for that system, and we need to put some money aside to get that replaced. Water and wastewater security upgrades is number 6 at $50,000. I don't want to go into too much detail on that. It is an industrial control system, but we are proposing to do that with ARPA money. IT number 7 is an AV improvements for the council chambers. That would take the camera you see sitting on the tripod here on the right, replace it with PTZ cameras mounted to the walls, and then move the entire control area to the back of the room to get it out of that area. And allow us to do, is this is an example, with the PTZ cameras in the control software, we'd be able to have whoever's on the council bench talking to someone in the public on the same screen. So whoever's at the podium and the council, right on there. So there'd be no bouncing back and forth anymore. It'd be a nice system. Next, IT number 8 is some repairs to town hall security. IT number 9 is the MFA hardware tokens, which we actually can remove. We're doing an emergency purchase on that right now. IT number 10 is a network access control system that we're proposing to do, and that's also ARPA money. That would control, if it's a device jumped on the network, control exactly what it could get to without having to have us set anything up. So if they weren't recognized, it wouldn't be able to access anything. All right, so in the budget, there's a few new items, 5 to be exact. The Office 365 account that you've heard already, we're moving to what's called G3 license. The G stands for government. We're in the government cloud on Microsoft 365. This will add in our installable Office package to it. It's expensive, but right now we're so far out of date on our Office package that we're running into issues on compatibility from other departments, other communities and other services that we use. So that will take care of that. Cloud backup for O365 is new. We just adopted that email system in this past fiscal year. It's been working quite well. It's allowed us to use some integrations with other software packages we couldn't have done in the past. Social media, all-in-one access. I'm kind of excited about this one. This will take all of our social media accounts across the entire town, Twitter, Facebook, and allow us to put out the same message on all of them at the same time. So if we have another emergency that we need to get the same information out, there'll be no passing it along to fire or police and us and not getting the same message. So if we have a boil of water again, bang, the same message goes out to every single one of them at the exact same time with the exact same words. So that's the intent of that. It's not very expensive. I believe I have it down for $3,000. Remote support services. This allows us to remote into desktops here in Town Hall as well as off-site, those people working from home, and support them and fix anything that may come up. And the last one is a support ticket system replacement. The one we've got now is with a company that had to be removed due to a cybersecurity incident that they had in the software that they were using on the package, how it got programmed. So we're going to have to replace that. That's what's new. And the last item on here is what the town IT can do for savings. We use our PC hardware 3 years longer than the industry standard. Normally it's anywhere from 3 to 5 years. We stretch it out to 8. We found internally that 8 years is well within the range of the hardware and using it. Open source software where we can. Normally that's like a bad word in the enterprise industry, but there are a few that we can use. We just take extra precautions to prevent those software packages from hitting the internet via the firewall. Alternate OSs such as Linux, if you've ever heard of it, we do use that periodically at no cost. Recycling equipment whenever possible. When we retire a computer, we do scrap it for parts and reuse those if something fails somewhere. We moved to virtual hardware. I'm sorry, that's backwards. Many years ago. Patrick, you probably remember you were asking me because it was an expensive cost at the time. I estimated about $30,000 in savings over a period of 5 years, and it ended up being closer to $300,000 in hardware savings. We have roughly 30 virtual servers running right now, and if we had to buy hardware for those to do it physically, it'd be anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 a piece. So it's a huge savings by doing it that way. And at the same time, we gained redundancy because we bought a second box for all of this. In the event the primary one failed and it was going to be down for an extended period of time, we could fire up those off-site, only losing about a day's worth of work because they duplicate at night. So those are the places we've been able to save money over the years and continue to do. And that's all I've got, so any questions or?
Great, thank you, Dan. Great presentation.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Dan, Patrick, or Eva?
I have a quick question. I think just because it's the 55% licensing dues, what was the breakout for that, the increase? I'm sure there were, but is there one particular?
The largest increase on that was the 0365 licensing. That jumped to $80,000 individually, all in of itself. Dude Solutions was the same. 2FA was added in. That's over $20,000 right there. The other big ticket item, Tyler's at $94,000. The renewals, roughly about that. We just got that in. And
Is the new VGSI on there?
It is,
Okay, yeah.
yes. To support the costs for into the future is on there. VGSI on that one is at $17,500 into the future. And the next big item is Viewpoint at $21,000. Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of our software packages have gone to subscription-based, like Microsoft. Engineering's got one for AutoCAD. They have to pay for it every single year now. And that's where our email's going to, our office is going to.
So that changed, that's what's
Yeah,
driving up the
and a
price.
few of those additional new ones, yeah.
All right, thank you. Thanks
You're
for the
welcome.
presentation, I appreciate it.
All right, Patrick? I'll go last, it's fine.
All right. The GIS. What kind of upgrades you gonna do to it? Did you have
So
an
the
upgrade?
idea with GIS is to add integrations with software that we already have. The Viewpoint for building inspection, the Dude Solutions was our asset management system, and why do I keep on forgetting the third one?
Mostly for in-house use.
Yes, it'd be in-house work, yep.
Because I use it, and, I don't know, I'll come by and talk about it.
You gonna get him a deal?
No, it's just that I don't find it user-friendly, it's a couple
Yeah,
things.
yeah, I think you're using the web
Yeah.
camera through Northeast Reval.
No,
No?
using the GIS. Anyway.
Oh,
let's
FGO.
pass on that.
Oh, sorry.
How about AC? You keeping everything cool down there? You have to upgrade
Their
that?
plan is to replace our air conditioning downstairs when they do the building.
Yep.
We've had yearly failures, sometimes twice a year for the last 5 years.
Right.
It's on its last legs, to say the least.
All right. We're not gonna catch a hot day in between there and knock you out?
It has happened.
I know, that's why I'm asking. I mean,
Yep,
I hate
it's got to go.
to spend all that money for that software and have it go out because it's a hot day, you know?
Yep, yep.
Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Patrick. I think my questions are all related to the capital improvements.
Okay?
Let's see. Actually, one general question. So all the software that you have in the budget, some of that is, just general servers for email, stuff like that. But does all software throughout all departments go through IT, or not totally?
Not all of it, no. So just use IMC, for example. The police department uses for record management. That's solely in their budget. If the software used is only used by one department, they maintain it. If it stretches to multiple departments, we pull it into IT.
Got it.
It makes paying for it and the requisition process much easier.
Yeah, okay. All right. So for the capital improvements, you had mentioned you mentioned the Arpa funds a couple times as you were going through that. So are you saying that a couple of these projects are eligible for Arpa funds, and it's just up to us whether we want to apply it to Arpa or keep it in the regular budget? Is that the point?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
With finance, we had discussed it, and those were the two projects that are in there for $50,000 and $100,000 are eligible for ARPA funds. Both are related to cybersecurity.
And that's what you have under grants and donations?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So then if we did decide to use ARPA for that, we'd be at 320 within the annual budget instead of the 470 for capital improvement?
I may have to defer to Christine on that.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the booklet.
Right, right. Anything that says, and I was going to bring that up to you, anything that says possible ARPA funding, right, you'll be voting on that, whether you want it to be ARPA funding. If you don't, then it would have to be added to our budget and capital projects, or it wouldn't be funded. So you'd have three choices: fund it with ARPA, fund it with the operating capital, fund balance or something, and then not fund it at all.
Right. Okay, I didn't see anything in here about ARPA. I mean, Dan said it vocally, but is it in here?
If you look on the bottom, if you go to page 28, on the bottom,
In the operating or the capital?
in the capital,
Yep, 28.
on the bottom half, it might say under grants and donations, possible ARPA funding.
Oh, I see. 100,000 it has, yeah. Okay. Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, the other question is, so it looks like we're kind of like heavy in capital projects this year, but then the next 5 years,
It's going to
much
tail.
less.
Yes.
Is that just the way things go, though? Like next year, are you going to have a bunch of new projects? That would be, because it's weird that it's all just this year, and then the next 5 years, there's like nothing.
We do have a cyclical, especially when it comes to hardware, because we only replace it after a certain number of years. And in this case, it's well beyond what the 6-year plan is. So we have the 140,000, which will encompass those servers, the software associated with them, and a few laptops. You won't see that dollar figure that size again for at least 6 to 8 years. That's where some of that's from. The voice over IP is new this year. Wastewater is a one-time shot. And the backup replacement you won't see again for, with any luck, 8 to 10 years. So
And what would you say, out of this list of 10, are some items that could wait a year? You might say none. That's okay if you say that. I'm just looking. Really, like, what are the ones that are really important and which ones can wait?
The only one we could truly ignore is the one for the council chambers, AV improvements in the council chambers. The rest of it needs to be done, even the voice over IP over a number of years. I don't want to come back and ask for $100,000 for that for the next 2 or 3 years to pay for it. I'd rather have a small hit in the capital budget at that point. Everything else does need to stay, unfortunately. We do have number 9 that's coming out. Yeah, sorry.
All right. Susan, I don't know if you have any questions. I know you're just jumping in now. We'll wait till the next department.
Hi.
And if you want to grab that mic. Okay. All right, cool. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Okay. Perfect. Chris, who do we have next?
Okay, next we have Chief Corrigan for the police department. That's
right.
in the
I have it
operating
here.
budget on
He's
page
hosting.
34, and the capital on page 29.
All right, welcome, Chief.
No PowerPoint, sorry. I had to follow the IT guy. I'm going to start with capital. If you want to go to, I think it starts at page 30. Actually, the overview is on page 29. So the first item up is vehicle replacement. And you'll notice for the 219,739, that additional 19,000 and change, that is reflecting money that you'll see down at the bottom of the page, page 30, which is from trust payouts on previous accidents from past years. That money will be used up by July 1st. We use most of that money for the beach ATV. So the money that would be left over, the 200,000, would be for 3 marked cars for patrol and a admin vehicle, to include the upfitting of them, which would be the light sirens, the prisoner cage, the long gun vault, all the additional items that we need for a car, radar. Item number 2 is the MDT. This is the mobile data terminal. These are the computers that are in our cars. So that would be for three MDTs and the infrastructure to set up the printer and everything else that goes into the car. That's something that we have every year. That's a necessity for the cars. The third item is our body armor. This will be for replacement of, I believe, 28 of our vests. And we do have a grant, so the town will actually be paying 50% of that figure. The rest will be coming from the Department of Justice. It's 26,600, and that replaces 28 vests. And so it'll be 13,300 to the town, 13,300 from the feds. And we do have a mandatory vest policy with a 5-year is how long the warranty covers. Fourth item is the animal control vehicle that I do not have a request for funding this year. Fifth item is for portable radios. This is to purchase 10 portable radios. Most of our offices are carrying a model that has been discontinued. They don't make spare parts for it. They haven't made them since 2019. So as these are breaking down, we're not getting replacements on these. So I've been slowly replacing these, but they've been breaking down at a faster rate. So I was looking to push this up from a five portable replacement to 10. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I did, but it was on animal control. There's zero in the budget for that. I just was curious why, because that always seems to be a big issue.
It's,
isn't
yeah,
it?
well, the old Ford that we're using for it right now, it's still running. So we're going to keep it going until it doesn't run anymore.
Okay, so you don't need anything
Yeah.
for that animal control?
No, I got set for the next year.
Yeah, because it's capital, so we're just, that's the capital.
Yes,
Yeah, we're on the capital, right?
correct.
I got
Yep.
that. Yeah. Okay, I have that, thanks.
Okay, so that's the portables. Item number 6, tasers. I also am not requesting funding for that. A couple of years ago, we took care of this with grants, so we won't be doing any replacements on that till next year. Number 7, this is getting into, these are some of the next group of items are all projects that I identified for the Arpa Funds, thinking about the COVID crisis and things that came up during that. So this first one was for, and I wrote a memo on this that you may have, basically the driving situation nationally has been horrible since the pandemic. So we've been working hard to combat that. Some of the technology that we've used that we've found to be helpful is like the radar shields. This is the machine that you see that captures your speed on radar and then tells you how fast you're going and blink at you when you're over the speed limit. So I put in a proposal to purchase more of those, and along with some more radar enforcement equipment.
So that's under just equipment, that's the equipment line? Sorry.
Yeah, the equipment is for number 7 there.
Yep, okay.
Number 8 is this firearm training system. Because of the pandemic, we weren't able to go to the range. We couldn't. The facility that we go into, South Kingstown, was closed, and then we couldn't put people together when we were out on the outdoor range. So we came up with a proposal to invest in technology. They have virtual reality machines now where you can participate in shoot, don't shoot, and dealing with various scenarios. So we thought that would be a good investment, so that if we're ever in another situation where we can't actually do our live firing, we have some kind of training to fall back on. Number 9 is our body camera line. This is, we were awarded a federal grant, and there's a state grant that's going to be good for 5 years. So this item will be paid for 5 years, so there's no request for funding there. Number 10 is a proposal for riot gear. During the summer of 2020, there was a lot of disorder in the state of Rhode Island, fortunately not in Narragansett, but there were threats of it coming to town. We were preparing for it. We did respond as mutual aid to other communities, to include Cranston and Providence, but we don't have equipment, so we were using some old equipment that we had from roughly 30 years ago. So if we're gonna, if that ever occurs in the future, I would like to have my officers to have the protective gear that they would need. So that's another proposal that I put in there as potential either ARPA or capital funding. And then number 11 was a request for a vehicle for the harbor master. Since the pandemic, he's always busy, but that position's become very busy since the pandemic. he usually relies on either borrowing a vehicle from either highway department or borrowing the F-150 that we have for the police department, which is not always available. He very often ends up using his own truck. So having a dedicated vehicle for the harbor master unit, we think would be advantageous.
Okay, thank you.
Those are all the capital items.
Quick question, and if anyone has any questions specifically about capital before we move to operating, we'll do that now. I have a question about vehicles.
Yep.
Especially that harbor master one. I think Councilor Kopak brought this up last year, was the idea of some electric vehicles where appropriate. So obviously, there's some vehicles that still need to be gas,
Right.
depending on the use, but others are more not going to be used in chases and stuff like that, like the harbor
Correct.
master one. What are your thoughts on,
I
especially
actually-
with gas prices as
I
they
actually
are?
did bring that topic up to the town manager when I was going over my items here. We would not recommend that for patrol,
Right.
frontline response, but administrative vehicles would be fine. They're more expensive.
Upfront, right?
Yeah, so some of the cost-saving measures that we have in town, such as having a highway department do all our servicing, they're not rated for that, so we would have to be serviced by whoever we purchase the electric vehicle from. But so long as the town's fine with that, we can do an electric vehicle for an admin vehicle. We just would need to add a little bit more money to the funding.
And is that something that we would add that money now, or just make up the difference during a meeting in the future to make up that gap if it's more expensive?
Well, the funding would come out of this line, so I would.
Right.
So I would say that,
But it's not in there now, like this is not, so
well,
if
the
it was-
admin vehicle is in there, but the electric vehicle money isn't.
Right.
So an SUV is about 30, let's see. So an SUV is about 35,000, and the electric vehicle that we got a quote on, I think, was like 48,000.
Got it. And then, do you know if a town is eligible for any sort of credits the same way a yeah. The town would be eligible for an electric vehicle credit, right? The same way as a regular person would?
I believe we would be. I haven't done any research on that. We would
Okay.
have to also address the infrastructure issue about not having a charging station.
I thought there was still one at one level, right?
I don't know,
Either
I thought
state or
that-
federal
I thought
level?
I'd heard of it went away, but I don't know.
There's probably a credit, I would imagine.
Okay. So basically, you're open to that for some
Yes.
administrative vehicles?
And Barrington PD just purchased one, so I could reach out to them and get some information.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. All right. Any other questions about capital?
Question about the virtual training. Is there a place to go? Facility that has?
Not VR. We would sometimes go over to the airsoft location and do force-on-force training there. The problem is with pandemic, all those locations were shut down. So, yeah. Yeah, they're open now.
All right, Susan, any questions about capital?
Nope.
Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
Yep. So for operating, we'll start with dispatch. I'm not sure what page that is on. Page 34. Dispatch is pretty straightforward. This is 9 full-time dispatchers and benefits. There's like a professional development line that's like $1,500, and just a minimal amount of money that's level funded for operating supplies, for paper and whatnot. That comes out of the admin budget. Yeah. See, police non-officer, this is for our non-sworn personnel. Once again, this is just salary and benefits. There's no other lines in this budget. General police admin, this is myself and 2 captains. And benefits take you through the 50127 line. For overtime is level funded. And then you get into the more, our admin lines, most are level funded. So you get to contracted services, there's an increase there. We are asking for additional money this is for our CIT program. So this money here pays for the mental health clinician that it's our portion of the funds to pay for a mental health clinician for our CIT and for the coordinator for that program. It's not mandated, no. We pay for it for a year with a grant, but the grant has been used. Yeah. Not that we've received. We keep an eye on for it and we apply for it, but we want to keep the program going, so we're asking for it. What's that? There's a professional standard that's called the One Mind campaign, but it's not a certification. Right. But it's a program that we support. I've done presentations on it if you have any questions on it, but we've done a lot of training on it. I did provide testimony up at the State House. I'm trying to get state funding going in this direction. They put some money in the budget, about $500,000 for training, but that just gets officers trained as as CIT officers. We're actually already trained up on that. But hopefully, I'm hoping that will expand in the future. There'll actually be state funding available to use towards clinicians.
Chief, I just want to follow up. I was reading it, so I didn't hear everything that you said. So the additional funding is to continue the CIT part-time position. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's just, we have one person right now, part-time doing
It's
that?
one mental health clinician that we share with all of the other departments, but it also pays a salary for a person who's not here, but who does behind the scenes work on like patient management.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay.
And then, let's see, uniform cleaning, we didn't have enough. We've had a new bid on that, so that increased by 17.6% there. Other items level funded here. I asked for additional funding for our employee recruitment. I've discussed this recently, how nationally there's an issue getting people to apply for policing. So we're looking for a little bit additional money to advertise on the radio. And I was looking to do some in particular markets to try and get a more diverse applicant pool. So there's some additional funds in there. PC software, there's been an increased cost in our Guardian tracking software and a couple other programs. So we asked for an increase there. It's not quite that large. I brought this up to the finance director that figure should be, I believe, was it 5,000 less? Of course, gas prices are increasing. There's a couple items where we've been coming in under a budget for our telephone service and electricity, where we've been saving some money with efficiency. So that's actually reduced by 11% each. And there's one item here that is a new initiative. We've been having a real problem with purchasing ammunition for our firearms. It's going to be the crisis level. There's been an explosion in purchasing firearms nationally. In 2020, there was like 11 million new gun owners in the country. People buying guns, buying more ammunition, great demand, and then with all the pandemic shutdowns, they just haven't been able to keep up with demand. So through our research, it looks like they've been putting their distributors have been putting most of their effort into filling the 9mm orders, because that's what most police departments are using, and what a lot of the military services are using. So for our 357 that we carry, we can't get our ammunition around. We're on a waiting list for it's like a year to a year and a half. So what we're looking to do is to switch out our firearms for a new gun. We'll purchase our present firearms, and then we'll get Glocks that are going to be 9mm and we're getting a great deal on it. So the total project cost is going to be just a little over $3,000 to get brand new firearms. Our present firearms are coming up on 5 years old anyways. So with 9mm, we'll be able to get ammunition immediately and not have to continually be asking for emergency purchase orders. I don't know the model off the top of my head. It's a 9mm round, I can tell you that. Yeah. So that would be added to the equipment line. So, Yeah, it's not in there, so with that right now, it reads 5,000 is level funded, there would be an additional $3,000 in that line. They'll go back, they'll be purchased by, they'll be traded into them, yeah, to trade in. So the next line is patrol. So this increase here, I'm presently funded for 41 officers, and we have one vacancy. So I made a proposal to the town manager and the finance director to increase the department to 42 so that I can add a rank lieutenant member to the police
Chief,
department.
What number are you on now?
Page 40, which is patrol.
Thank you.
So the additional item would be added in January, so there's funds in there to fund that extra officer in January. Once they've graduated from the academy, once they've finished their FTO program, at that point, and once we purchase the body-worn cameras, at that point, I would promote someone to lieutenant, and they would be taking on the administration of the body-worn camera program, and they'll be taking on our accreditation program and also taking over some training duties. The last time we've added rank to our structure was in 2004. The job has become more complicated since then, and we've added some major programs. The two most significant ones would be accreditation, which is a bear. Right now, a captain oversees that with help from a lieutenant, and I also 90-day detective into that to help out every year with that program. And then with the body-worn cameras coming on, there's a lot of administrative duties involved with that, with the public records requests and using it for evidence, and then auditing the program. We're definitely going to need somebody dedicated in order to do that right. Yeah. So after that, the OT wage, you'll see on the 50104 line, that amount right there is not correct. My recommendation was for a 3% increase. I think that's 3% on top of what our expenditure was during the 2020 pandemic year. It's actually going to be 3% on top of what our budget was for fiscal year 22, which is the 322. So that's going to be about 130,000 less right there.
So not 47, are you looking at the 47.4 increase? Is that, so it's
That
gonna
should
be
be,
yeah,
that should be 3%.
That's what I was going to ask you. Okay, so from 47.4, it'll be corrected to 3%.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's going to be a big reduction.
Wait, sorry, you're saying, Chris, you're saying it's going down a little?
It's okay, yeah.
Well,
It'll
the-
go down maybe 100,000, because we're already at, right now, at 2022, in, what month are we in here? I ran this in March, we were already at 322,000, and they usually do another 90,000 from April through June. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna balance that out a little bit.
Okay.
Meet in the middle, so we can look at
Okay.
some savings. That was just a misunderstanding, so that's gonna be, there's a lot of ups and downs going on this budget right now. Don't forget, this is not concrete, and every day something new comes in, because we don't have real state revenue yet. I know you can't hear me. We don't have the state revenue in, we don't have actual health care costs, and like the ammunition problem with the weapons, so that was something new that came up. So this is constantly ongoing, so but it's pretty close. It's, it's not going to be millions of dollars difference. Thanks.
Okay, so the next difference you'll notice here would be the clothing allowance. We had to bump that up in order to cover the officers. And then there may be a change in that as well, depending on what transpires with the CBA. Next page would be, unless you have any other questions on administration, I'll move on to investigations.
Just a quick question on that. So the holiday comp is like 35.3, that's because, can you explain that?
Juneteenth.
That's what I thought. Okay, thanks, yeah, I thought so, thank you.
That's fast. So the next line is investigations. No significant real changes right here. It's that's detective lieutenant, detective sergeant, three detectives and all their benefits. No change in their overtime request. Page 42 is animal control. This is for our ACO and her benefits. There's some additional funds there for professional development and a little bit for equipment. That's all level funded. No significant changes there. Page 43 is the harbor master. His salary and his benefits and all his equipment is all level funded, so there's no changes for that division as well. That's my operating budget. If you have any questions.
All right, thank you. Any questions, Patrick, Eva, or Susan?
No questions.
All right, great. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll go back to
Okay,
Chris.
so, yep. Next, we have Patty Arkwright, Lori Kelly to present the library budget. And that is on page 103 and page 71 in the capital improvement plan.
This morning? That's all right. Because I emailed it to you, right? Yeah. Otherwise, we can manage. I can do it now. Means it hasn't been reviewed either.
It's not going to show up on here because I did it.
You don't see it? All right.
I just sent it. I don't know if that's good enough. But
Well, should we just go on now? Sorry.
We can just hold for a minute. If you send it to Dan, he'll be able to put it right up. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
I got stuck in my drafts, my luck.
Or maybe it's a fate that we shouldn't be doing the PowerPoint.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, I'm gonna meet with the coastal office. It's their idea on that beach thing. Yeah, we didn't vote, we backed it down because I don't know why it was to vote, because we gotta meet, we don't even know anything about it, really, you know what I mean?
Police left, so they won't.
I can make a comment while we're waiting. So in the capital improvement plan, right, remember where I was talking about that bottom half of all these projects, that they'll say possible ARPA funding? Those two are the big list, just for ease. If you look at that big list, they're all in here. That's it, yeah. It'd just be easier to look at that. Okay.
Yay, all right. So I just want to start off by thanking this council for being so supportive of the library in the last year and a half. We appreciate that you value the educational institution that we are. And, you know, we're coming back and reinstating stuff that, and we just want to express that we're very thankful for it. Patty's going to start with the next screen. It should be on, right, so our budget.
Good evening, everyone. So I wanted to start with the large percentage of our budget that we're presenting. It's mostly because of our salaries or our payroll and the benefits. And if you remember, we've added the 2 positions back into the budget for pensions, and then the health insurance and the OPEB. So those all bring our budget up by $120,000. But our total salary and benefits is $915,000. And that might seem like a lot, but that's what a library is people offering assistance to everyone who can come into the library. So that's what makes up a library. It's not just the books, it's not just the e-books, it's the services that we offer through the staff that can help people. So the $915,188 is 81% of our budget. And that includes 6 full-time staff members, of which 3 have MLSs right now, and the 2 positions that we just replaced into the budget with the pensions, those are also MLS positions. So you have 5 professional positions that is represented in this line item. So we do have the 6 full-time positions, and then we have 13 part-time, which is a little low right now, and we're just kind of representative of the rest of the world and tough staffing it and keeping people employed at the library. So the only other thing I wanted to say was the overall increase in our budget is $18,120, which is non-personnel.
Oh, that's next slide.
Oh, next slide.
Yeah,
Sorry. Yep.
Okay, sorry.
Which is non-personnel. So again, those are kind of the incidentals, as you say, electricity, heat, all that operating supplies. So again, that's a small increase, and it's what makes up our budget.
So I just wanted to present this because it's all numbers of sort of a comparison of where we were. You remember that we have not had an increase in our budget since the 2015-16 year, and then it was 841 was what it was set for the town contribution. We're now asking for 1.218637 as the town contribution. Personnel has gone up from 760 to 915, and non-personnel up another 100,000. So the change overall in the last 8 years that we're asking, you know, is the 229,651 roughly. If you go to, okay, so the next slide, if you just compare last year's budget to this year's budget, last year's budget was budgeted $1,045,000 roughly, and this year we're up to $1,218,000. That's $173,000. Now, why it looks like sticker shock to you guys is because we were, over the last 4 or 5 years, being forced to use the fund balance to fund the library. So that money we have, you know, we've previously pledged to the building project. So that's basically gone, and we still don't have full funding from the state back yet. We're receiving roughly half because of the slashing of our budget in previous years. So that's why it looks like a huge increase, you know, maybe not a huge increase, but it's a significant increase in our budget, but it's generally just because we've lost our revenue source where we were getting some of the money for the budget. So I went back and I just looked at other departments. We're just saying Department A in 2015-16 to this new budget, 22-23, you have a 35% increase. Department B, 33% increase. And we look like we're asking for about that range over the last 7 years, because again, we've not had any increase from the town. Now, a lot of the questions are, the future spending and expenditures that the town can expect for the library and the new building. And again, we've gone out to the architects and a cost estimator to estimate what it will take to run that plant. And basically, heating is actually going to be down a little bit, which is astonishing. But you have to remember that we're going to have all new efficient equipment, new lighting sources. So I'm guesstimating around $25,000 from where we are today. Now, I know gas and electricity is expected to go wild, but comparing apples to apples, in going to a much bigger building, the professional cost estimators are telling us it's not going to be a huge burden on the town. So that's what we're estimating. And again, the 6 full-time employees, we have not had 6 full-time employees for how many years?
At least 4.
4 years. So we've had trouble retaining and filling positions when we didn't have full benefits. So 6 full-time employees is going to be, significant help for the staff. And then, of course, we can hire more part-time people for the larger building. But again, because the design is new, there's open sight lines, there's cameras, places, it's not going to be as labor-intensive. People are now used to scanning their own books. So we do not anticipate, a huge personnel jump moving to our new building. Yes, and I thought this was a good picture of our old building. So that's basically all I have. Is any questions?
Any questions on capital? Or sorry, on...
Oh, we didn't do capital.
We didn't do capital,
Yeah,
so
just
on
the
general operating budget. Sorry.
Yeah, so the funding that you were talking about, so that it jumped up a lot because we didn't get the funding, so is that the next year going to go down or not be as much requested?
Well, we can't go down because we have to maintain our effort. So that's a very good question because we are expecting next year, the state, OLIS will look at our state contribution should be up $100,000. It won't be the full amount for this year. It's like a 2-year look back. So we should receive $100,000 more next year, and then going forward with level funding, continued.
Because we lost ground when the budget got cut.
Right.
3 years ago.
Right.
I can't believe you guys are back here again. Didn't we just give you 5.8? We gave you 5.8 for God's sake.
And then, Lori, the other question I had, or Patty, so that employee pension, because that's the big jump in there too, the 16, that was the two individuals we added? Is that why it went up that much?
Yeah, $35,000 per person.
Okay.
And OPEB also had a big jump, which I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
but we did add 2, it's calculated 2 more people, yeah, so.
Thanks.
All right, Patrick or Susan?
No questions.
None for me.
Okay, none for me. We
Okay.
can, you would go
So-
to do capital, or?
Yeah, I don't have a capital copy though, so.
Oh.
Just tell me what it is.
Oh,
I'll tell you
okay,
what it is.
I'll tell you. Well, I'm with you, I didn't have my capital copy either.
76, do you have a
I thought I grabbed both before I left, but I didn't. So we have library, item number 1 is the new building renovation for $6 million, which we all know about. Number 2 is the new building replacement windows. You have it now?
Okay, so where are we?
Library, item number 2.
Yep, this one, okay. So that's, we're requesting $100,000, and that is specifically for the construction of the new building where we are short of funding for either a skylight or windows, whatever, the priority is to get interior light into the building. So again, we've had a placeholder of $50,000 going back several years. If you remember, the previous council refused to approve us spending it on COVID alterations of our current building, so we still have that money sitting in the account. But, you know, we just feel that it's significant. We have not appeared in the capital budget with a new request in, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. So we're hoping that, you know, we can rejoin the group and get some interior light into the building. I don't know exactly what it will be used for because we're still awaiting the architect's cost estimates on various things, but that would be the idea.
All right, and then there's 2 more items?
So is the first one was the bond, correct?
Right.
Okay. But it
So,
says 6 million?
Yeah, the new library project, 1.5 million.
Oh, okay, yeah. So that was our request for possible ARPA funding. You know, the town council was generous enough to advance through their own funds, so we're not withdrawing that, but we're not duplicating that, asking for another 1.5. If you didn't have a place to spend it, I guess, again, you know,
it's worth a shot, right? Throw it in there.
100 or 200,000 that's just lying around. So that's why that was in the placeholder, because we are allowed to do that.
Okay. And then is the towers, is that supposed to be in here? Is that just
It's just because it's other miscellaneous, they're grouped together.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
Right, towers and library, okay. Yeah, so that's not you guys.
No.
Right here.
Right, so you guys are just 1, 2, and 3.
Correct.
They just have the building renovations. That was done in January.
No, that's the towers. So this is,
On the top where it says towers and library, it's both together.
right, but we're not doing the towers now. Sorry, yeah, so when we,
I got it.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
it. We're on the library, when we get to towers. we'll
Right,
go to the
yeah,
same
yeah.
section. I got it.
all right, and I got it now. All right, so anything else?
I just wanted to answer to one of your questions about the state funding. Just so you know, there's a state law in the books that says that the state should fund all libraries 25% of their budget. Because of some economic downfalls back in the 80s or early 90s, the legislative allowed the state to drop their contributions to libraries. So right now, we're getting about 22% of our operating budget if we're fully funded year to year, which would be the $180,000. There is something entered into the Senate and the House to make the state fully fund libraries, the 25%. So again, we're following that, and we're hoping to get that support from the state, Senate and House, so that we'll get, you know, the funding that we're supposed to have.
That's a difference, like 3%, right? So 22 you said now, and it'd be 25? Is that what you're?
Right now, it's 22, about 22.
Yeah, so difference at 3% now.
Yeah, and, you know, it's not a lot
Yeah.
of money, but it helps to, you know.
I would also add that this comes up periodically, like annually or every other year, and it's, you know, we're still struggling to get them to pay the 25%, so it may not pass as well.
Yeah, and they do fluctuate from year to year, depending how much the governor and her budget or his budget lets them spend. So it could be, they could drop it down to 20% one year if the economy is, you know, poor and they want to
Yeah.
help.
If that legislation wasn't in, then it would be fluctuate, but that'll make it. So the legislation's saying it's going to be 25, right? Okay.
They're hoping that that passes, yes.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions about capital for the library?
I just have a quick question, but so that the windows weren't part of the original project? It's a separate capital plan?
Well, as you know, we've been reverse engineering, and we've had to pull things out of the project, which we currently can't afford, and we just need to start because it doesn't look like the inflation is going to, you know, pause here. It just continues. So we've taken some things out of the building. Hopefully, we'll continue to fundraise, and we'll get, you know, money through that we can make some alterations. But some things like the skylight, which would, you know, add interior light to the deep part of the building, is currently not funded. And that's not something we can retrofit after the fact. So we were just hoping that that, or, you know, depending on how the architects view it, some of the windows, there's no windows on the children's side of the, which would be the south side of the building, that they were going to put in a few windows. But again, all of that is right now as an alternative add. So that's one. We'd like more. Yeah, you know, right, if you looked at the plans, right where the elevator is, and it's sort of back in the middle of the, I want to say like 12 by 12, but I'm not sure. You know, what they did, we started out with clear story windows and raising the roof, and that was outrageously expensive, and then we've scaled back, and now what they have proposed is fitting between the structure of the, you know, the beams and the roof so that it's more standard and lower cost. But I still think it's, what, 45,000, something like that, in order to put in the skylight? 33? But probably 45 tomorrow, you know, the way things are going. So yes, so that's, you know, we're doing the best we can in retrofitting, but some of the things like that kind of improvements, you know, we were hoping we could get in capital improvements.
Get that before, that's a mess. You don't want to put the library together and have to replace that. It makes a big mess.
Right, so the roof, the windows, you know.
Okay, thank you, Lori and Patty.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, I could do it, that's fine. Thank you, though. All right, so next we have community development with our Director, Mike DeLuca. So Mike, thank you, welcome. Thank you. And we are on page 30 for operating. And for anyone
Yes.
from the public following along, it's page 20 in your packet.
All right. Thank you, Council President. I've got a short, and believe me, it's a short PowerPoint.
We'll be the judge of that.
We'll be the judge of that.
Heard it before.
I knew I'd hear it. I
Go
knew
ahead.
I'd hear it. Actually, my budget is quite simple because there's so much that's just level funded. But let me just start off by first taking you through what most of you already know, which is my office, which is up there on the screen. And as you know, it's a four-person office. I'm the director. We have an environmental planning specialist, Jill Sabo. She's also the GIS coordinator for the town. Our clerk is Heidi Petrone. I think most of you know her. And our planning technician position, I have it listed there as vacant. It isn't vacant. It will be by next Wednesday. Our technician, Crystal Kidd, is leaving us. So we are actively soliciting for a new position. Anyone out there who might have an interest in planning, please submit a resume. She's been here with us a little over a year. Just to let you know, we're going to be running on 3/4 of our normal staff for the near future. And what do? So our key services are up there on the screen. I have had conversations, both officially and unofficially, with many of you about many of these topic areas that we cover. As you know, the comprehensive plan is our primary growth management document for the town, and it's my department's job to draft it every 10 years, update it as necessary. And you actually reviewed something not just the other night that had a relationship to comprehensive plan. We also do subdivision and land development review. So when people are dividing their land or building large projects such as commercial developments, personal storage facilities or whatever, those things come through my office. Site reviews. Yes. Site reviews is our terminology for the assistance we give to the planning board and zoning board in reviewing applications for zoning variances and special use permits. On average, the boards review about between 55 and 65 applications a year. So that's a very large component of the work we do. We draft zoning ordinances, as you know, and I'm trying to get a couple in front of you fairly soon. We also oversee the affordable housing regulatory component of the town, particularly when an applicant proposes to build an affordable housing development. In most cases, when those are proposed, they're looking for density relief and other forms of subsidy by the town. So that's a very important and responsible component of our job to try to enhance and expand the affordable housing in town. We work for the Historic Preservation Commission, Historic District Commission, as you know, and they meet once a month. The Historic District Commission probably reviews, I didn't add them up this year, but they probably review about 35 to 40 applications a year. And each of those and those are large applications. They have some small ones too, just minor adjustments. Those are very significant. As you know, we have 6 historic districts in town, and just added one in Narragansett Avenue area a few years back. We provide assistance to several boards. On top of the Historic District Commission and Planning Board and Zoning Board, we also assist the Conservation Commission, the Harbor Management Commission, and the Land Conservancy Trust. We conduct studies in environmental planning. We are working currently on with the Land Trust on the project, and the Recreation Department on the project that will be improving the Middlebridge site. And that's going to be starting next year, I believe. And as you know, we do GIS system management. Next page. So the budget. I'm not going to do a line item review as a couple of my predecessors did. Most of my line items are level funded. And as Dan mentioned, several of the line items are dictated by the Finance Department. So we have no control at the local department to address them. But I do want to point out a couple things in the longevity compensation component. That is going up by 14%. And that is because one of my staff just qualified this year to receive it. So that's naturally being added on. Moving down to the health and wellness component, that is going up, sounds like a lot, 33%, it's $500. And that is because the health and wellness allowance has been granted to senior management staff. So that we didn't have that before in the budget. So that's a $500 increase. Moving on to the items that we do have a little bit of control of. Item 50311 is licenses and dues. It is going up. And the reason for that is that we are paying for the MapGeo license. That's the website that has the GIS in it that Patrick was talking about that he accesses. That's a little bit over $3,000 for those dues. And then the dues for myself and Ms. Sabo for our professional credentials, AICP, and her professional credential as a certified flood manager. Moving down to a few more lines down to PC software, this item is actually being reduced. Excuse me. This item is actually being reduced. We had funding in there for the web, for the MapGeo funding in that line item inappropriately. So we moved it over to licenses and dues. And we can reduce it out of this line item. So it's now going down to 3,100. So it's a reduction, significant reduction. And the last item is office equipment. We have a one-time expense coming up this year to purchase a large format scanner and plotter. And this is, as you might guess, to print maps. We had been borrowing, taking advantage of the plotter that is in the engineering department. And Dan can tell you that that one is on its last legs. We only turn it on when we need to use it. And I believe the engineering department's going to be removing it sometime soon. So my office and the building inspections office are pitching in together to buy this large format scanner and plotter. So that is a $9,600 item. It's a one-time item. You will see, next year, you will only see in this line item a sufficient amount of money for maintenance and service on that unit. So that's all I have for the department at this time. I have no capital. I will go into boards and commissions if you have no questions about the department.
Just a quick question for that office equipment. So if you said you're splitting it, is it 9, so half of it's going to go in their budget?
Well, he's,
Or are you just,
Wayne's not here, but he has budgeted $5,000. It's about a $10,000 expense. The additional money is for purchase of supplies, such as toner, which isn't
Okay.
cheap for something that,
Yeah.
when you're printing
right,
sheets this wide.
okay.
And sheets this wide. So I looked up the cost of the ink cartridges. A single ink cartridge is $140,
Yeah.
and there are 5 of them. So the scanner comes with one set. We don't, I asked Dan about that. He's not even sure it's a full-sized ink. It might be
Probably
some,
not.
just small one. Yeah, a miniature cartridge that you can do 5 maps on. So we need to buy some cartridges right away. And we anticipate replacing those cartridges about 4 times a year, which will add up to over $2,000, just in ink. So we've built in a little bit of extra money to make sure that we've got enough ink cartridges and enough different size sheets of paper to run all the maps that we need in color.
All right, any other questions for Mike? Yeah, I think it looks pretty straightforward.
And I did want to point out that, you see there on this slide, the bottom line is $527,000. It's 3.5% above last year's $509,000. And if we were to take out the one-time expense for the plotter scanner, it would only be an increase of 1.6%.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, I think over the years, I've sat here with you for a few years doing this, and you're pretty consistent with your budget, no big surprises, and I think your department runs pretty lean for the importance that it has for the town. You guys have a lot of activity that comes through.
You just hang on to your employees. Went to what, three employees in what, 2.5 years?
Yeah, I guess. We'll do our best. We try to provide a.
Finally get you an employee. Remember when you couldn't get one, you couldn't get one? You finally get one, you can't hang on to them.
Mike, before you move on to boards and commissions, we'll do that, but I just wanted to let everyone know, after that, if it's okay with the rest of the council, I think we should skip ahead to special appropriations and let everyone in the audience come up. And then we'll do town manager, solicitor, and council, if that's okay. All right, cool.
Great. And I'll try to provide a great working environment for the next person so he or she does not leave.
I'm sure you being a tyrant has nothing to do with it.
So, moving on, I handle the finances for 4 boards right now and potentially 5. So I'd like to just go through them quickly. The first is the Historic District Commission. They've been level funded, and, the amount of money that they're using, that they have budgeted to them is fairly nominal. It's $2,400. The zoning board, there was a minor increase in the zoning board budget, just to accommodate professional services, I believe, just to add a little bit more into that. Our professional services line item largely goes to paying the stenographer. And the zoning board has a stenographer every single night, every single meeting. The planning board doesn't, only when they hold public hearings. The Conservation Commission is level funded at $6,250. And the planning board is level funded at $6,450. We have a fifth, and that is the Harbor Management Commission. This is, the Harbor Management Commission, as you know, has been in place for a lengthy period of time. Whatever budgeting they have ever had been through the harbor master. And you heard Chief Corrigan go through the harbor master's line items. But the commission itself has a few projects they want to undertake. They have requested about $2,800 in funding. And if you hit the next one. So just to summarize, the budgets for Historic District, Zoning Board, Conservation, and Planning Board have increased by a whopping total of $50 total. When you add in the Harbor Management Commission, there's a $2,850. Brian Kuchar is here. He's the chairman of the Harbor Management Commission, and he'd like to step to the podium to give you a little bit of an idea of how they would like to spend the money that they're asking for in this new budget,
Yep,
if you will
sounds
allow
good.
that. Brian.
Yeah, the light's on. Okay, my name's Brian Kuchar. I'm the chair of the Harbor Management Commission, and we're looking to have a little bit of funding for some projects that are going on. Just things over the past. We've never had funding before, so sometimes they just stop in their tracks. But, you know, topics that we do is water quality, public access, transient moorings, public education. The latest big topic now is water quality. So 46 acres of East Pond has been closed since May of 18 because of high fecal coliform. The DEM shut it down. So we're looking to get a testing site over there through the Salt Pond Coalitions. They gave us a great presentation last month. They currently have 6 other sites in the pond, and they test them 12 times a year from mid-May through mid-October. And the cost is $700 plus a $250 additional for bacteria, which they think they need for these sites because these numbers are so high. And so if you know, we did have some funding that might be a consideration. There's other hot spots in the pond, not just in East Pond. And this section is like just north of where the people, you see the people clamming on the escape road. It's just north of there. But there are other hot spots around the pond. We have a permanent closure from like Smeltbrook Cove over to Pine Tree Point, the northern third of the pond, say. Now there's 2 additional conditional closure areas that happen with heavy rains. And so just things that need to be looked at. So not only water quality, but like maybe professional services, an opinion, or engineering, mailings, lawn chemicals, pesticides. Dog waste is a big problem with runoff into the pond, so if we could maybe do some mailings, just a couple of different things we're looking to have funding for, because over the years, whenever funding comes up, it just pretty much stops.
All right, and what was the amount again that you were looking for?
2,800?
28, and that would be, you'd want that to be an annual allotment,
Yes,
right?
please.
Yep, okay.
And so we're not going to be just tied to Salt Pond Coalitions. They're going to open up a site, and that money is just for the lab fees. All the work is volunteer. So the cost is just actual lab fees, where the rest of it's free with volunteers. So it's
will the monitoring of these sites determine where the vehicle's coming from? Or?
yeah, so, excuse me. Since then, the town has been working with DEM. So Jill from Mike's office has been doing a lot of the work there, and Highway has been doing it too. So they're going to the actual outflows is pretty much what it is, the neighborhood outflows where these counts are coming from. And so they found where they are, and now they're trying to explore why it's happening. So it's an ongoing...
Basically stormwater.
yes.
From rains, lawns.
Right, right. Dog waste, waterfowl. You know, DEM has extended waterfowl seasons to try to reduce it. You know, there's so many geese in the pond and ducks. So it's a lot of things coming together. And then, you know, it's not like we're going to go out and buy stuff. It's more about service for the town.
Just more lab. Jim, the landing fee that we just approved, right? That's going to spike up, right? The landing fee?
If the legislature, they're going to introduce the bill, and if it passes, that will certainly provide more money to the town.
Right, but that stays in the Galilee Fund. That's got a
That's
restricted
restricted
use. No. It's got to go through the Galilee. That's another discussion for another day, thank you.
All right. Any other questions or comments for Brian?
Thank you.
All right, thanks for coming.
Thank you, Brian, for all the work you do. Thank you.
I just wanted you to know, too, that it's not represented in the budget, that request.
Right, that's a new
Because I have to
appropriation.
create a whole new.
So that's
right.
not in the budget at all?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay.
That was all I had,
That's
Mr.
it? All
President.
right. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
All right. Chris, so we're going to go ahead and skip ahead to the special appropriations. I have this packet here. Do we have just a list to go off of? If not, I'll just go through the packet and call each person up.
Sorry, I'm not allowed. It will give you a little list. I know you're probably not going to understand it. I'll try to understand it.
Okay.
Right, so.
Yeah. I'll just go through the packet here.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
All right. All right. So looks like we have a request from South County Home Health. So if Miss Gershkoff is here. Nope. Okay. All right. So that's a $2,000 request, and that is Health. VNS. So that is
Yes.
the same that we've done in the past, right? So that's not
not
an increase.
Right.
Jesse, the packet that you have, that each member of the council has, is in the exact order that they are on the budget page for 70.
Oh, perfect. That's great. Thanks, Jim. All right. Is Kate Brewster here from the Johnny Cake Center? Hey, Kate. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I want to thank all the members of the council and town manager, I can see down there, Tierney, for all of your ongoing support of the Johnny Cake Center. Just briefly, our mission is to provide basic needs and resources to approximately 2,000 residents of South Kingstown and Narragansett every year. About 25 to 30% of those folks do live in the town of Narragansett. We opened a new facility today, which we're very, very pleased and proud of, that will bring all of our services, or has brought them all under one roof. So that was an exciting development. And we've also stepped into the affordable housing space. We acquired some affordable housing units from the Welcome House that we'll be renovating to provide service-enhanced housing for local families. So we're really broadening what we're trying to do. Our request is simply for food purchases and to offset some of the costs of our food pantry operations. We run several food programs, including a regular shopping program. People can come in, now they can shop for their own food in our market. We have a school vacation meals program, a weekly produce program, and we also deliver food to about 80 homebound seniors and families throughout the two towns. About 40% of the food that we receive comes from the Rhode Island Community Food Bank. About 20% comes from food donations, but we purchase the other 40%, and we spend about $150,000 a year on food purchases. If we want to offer fresh produce and milk and eggs and proteins and all of the healthy foods that we want our members to have, we have to buy them. So that's what our request is for, and again, we thank you for all of your past support.
Thank you. Thanks for what you guys do.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions for Kate? No? Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks. Okay. Do we have Deborah Tanner from Southern Rhode Island Volunteers?
Deborah Tanner, speak to us.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for supporting Southern Rhode Island Volunteers for years. And actually, by supporting Southern Rhode Island Volunteers, I'm thanking you for supporting your seniors here in Narragansett. So what our agency does is we provide support for seniors aging in place, which means access through transportation to healthcare providers, pharmacies, grocery stores, to town hall if they have something they have to do here at Town Hall, anything that would support independence in aging and healthy, safe, vital aging. We also deliver food, not only from food pantries, but also from the grocery store. Once a week, we have a shopping service. As a matter of fact, it happens tomorrow. And we will be delivering groceries to seniors. We deliver food, including Meals on Wheels, which we stage from South Kingstown. We manage the entire Meals on Wheels program for South Kingstown and Narragansett on behalf of Meals on Wheels, and our volunteers serve throughout the county for other communities. So we deliver food to 68 seniors here in Narragansett. We transport for medical appointments and stuff for another 53. We have 3 seniors who currently are receiving visitation to alleviate isolation. That's for the most frail seniors who are homebound. That program over the last couple of years kind of stopped in terms of service, and it just became safety phone call checks from us from the office because of COVID. So it's just starting to be in-person visitation again, which is absolutely vital. For instance, we just received a request from a 80-year-old woman who is completely homebound now, cannot drive or anything, and what keeps her mentally healthy is the ability to drive down to the ocean. That's why she lives in Narragansett, because she loves the ocean. So one of our volunteers is going to be visiting with her a couple of times a week to get her out of her home so that she's not all alone, so that we're supporting her mental health as well as her physical health. We also did 11 cleanups for folks for after snowstorms and stuff this year. Even though it wasn't really all that bad, we still had quite a few. And then we do partner with South County Museum here in Narragansett. We provide them some volunteers. I do have brochures too, so that you can see the services, and please refer anybody who's 55 and over who's disabled or a senior, and we would be happy to help them and service their needs to remain independent or to refer them to other agencies that might provide different services.
Wonderful, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Dan. I'll leave these over here, Susan.
Thank you.
All right, so it looks like no requests from the Welcome House. Are they not, they're still, did they close? Okay. Is there a representative from the Historical Society here? Okay. Hello? Yes, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Donna Rogers, and I'm treasurer of the Narragansett Historical Society. And let me preface all of this by saying we appreciate the annual grant that you give to us. But, and as you know, our president, Shirley Easton, died very unexpectedly this January. So I'm here not to replace her, but because of her. She was the heart and soul of our organization. Her goal was to find a home in Narragansett for the Historical Society. Excuse me. Right now, and for many years, we've been in the South Kingston Office Park. But Shirley, being as insightful as she was, found the perfect home for us, the Windmill Building on Clark Road, along with Dr. O'Neill. They single-handedly rescued this building from the wrecking ball. It had been put in the budget in 2019, $27,000 for the demolition of this building. But due to a very aggressive writing and grant campaign, we were able to raise money to start the first part of the first phase one of the building, which would be the exterior. It included removing all the aluminum siding. And if you were to go over there right now, the new windows are being put in. So we had enough money for phase one, and now we're on to phase two, which if you look at the handout there, it'll show you just what the needs are and the expenditures are for that. So with phase two, that means we're on to another fundraising also. So I'm sure you can figure out where I'm going with this. If $27,000 was put in for demolition of the building, we're asking maybe if some of this money you could reconsider and award us for phase two. This is a good investment for the town also. It provides the residents access to our collections, research programs for adults and children, and a beautiful setting for outdoor programs. And this was always Shirley's goal. This is what she wanted to do. Also, with the American Rescue Plan, since the pandemic, all of our programs, present programs and future programs were canceled, and we were unable to do anything for the past 2 years. We lost any income we might have had from these programs, and also we were unable to do any fundraising for the building fund, which was another source of another loss for us. We're developing new programs, ideas, and thinking, and thinking that this might come under the arts. We could be creative and find a way of being part of this rescue program. Again, this was all part of Shirley's goal, and we're looking for help from you, and we appreciate anything that you could do for us. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Any questions?
Yeah, I got a question. The asbestos removal here for, just a quick question.
Yep.
Did you get a couple bids on that?
Um,
That seems awfully high. In fact, I'm gonna give you a guy that will probably cut that one in half.
Okay,
We
well,
don't have a lot of square footage over there.
all right, well, we'd appreciate that. But that was an unexpected expense, too. That wasn't,
Those clouds are all, they sneak up on you.
we weren't aware that there was any asbestos removal necessary. So those are things that come with an old building, too, that they're going to be expenditures that you weren't planning for.
Okay, any other questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have your photos.
Hey, yo, don't run it off.
Mrs. Rogers.
Okay, do we have, is Terry Murray here, or Murphy here? Sorry. From the South Kingstown Senior Center? Yes, and the current town manager? Interim?
I'm wearing two hats this evening. Good evening, council members. Terry Murphy from the town of South Kingstown. Good evening, Manager Tierney. It's nice to see you all this evening. I'm here with the Senior Services Director, Susan DeMasi, and I believe you all probably have a good idea of what the Senior Services Program in South Kingstown does, particularly the Senior Center, in terms of a wide array of service offerings, including a congregate meal site, activities and wellness programs, as well as a community information specialist that assists with seniors who may need help in various social service aspects, either with information and referral to other agencies or assistance with Medicare, pre-retirement counseling, those types of things through the senior center. What I've done with, and actually the manager and I have spoken, and I submitted a request for funding. As you may be aware, Narragansett and South Kingstown have been municipal funding partners for the senior center for about 20 years now, in terms of making sure that that operation continues in a way that's sustainable. Typically, year after year, there's generally a split of 70-30 in terms of the services that are offered, and 70% of those active clients and participants are South Kingstown residents, 30% are Narragansett residents. That's a general statistic, and year over year, the town of Narragansett has consistently supported the program, even before this year, with 3 different service categories: nutrition, senior center operations, and adult day services. I believe you're aware that the adult day service program is now operating through a third-party contractor, St. Elizabeth's Community, who is also here this evening, and the town of South Kingstown offers up a matching contribution to their program through the provision of the actual facility for the adult day service program. So just wanted to give you a little bit of frame of reference in terms of the senior program. I did submit a letter of request for funding through Mr. Tierney at a funding request of $101,000 to cover the nutrition program, a contribution, as well as the senior center operating program. We do recognize that the town of Narragansett has instituted a congregate meal program through the community center operation. That being said, the Senior Services Center in South Kingstown will clearly continue to offer lunch program to Narragansett residents, and we still have overhead associated with that. So that is the $101,114 was $134 was the total request. I understand that the proposed budget is showing funding for the senior center operation only at $55,000. So the breakout was $41,134 for the nutrition program and $60,000 requested for the senior center operation. And just for a little bit of background, the way that these funds are calculated are based on statistics and daily numbers relative to how many Narragansett residents are coming in, utilizing programs, utilizing the nutrition program and services, versus how many South Kingstown residents are participating. As we move forward, I understand this is a policy decision for the town of Narragansett in terms of continuing as a regional partner to cover overhead for the cost of the operation of the senior center. I have Susan here with me if there are specific questions related to services, activities, programs, numbers related to how the senior center is, how many people are participating in the senior center on a daily basis. So I appreciate your consideration and anything you can do to support the center for both of our communities.
Great, thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions? No? Okay. All right. Great, thank you. Okay, from St. Elizabeth Adult Daycare Centers, is Jessica Goslin here? Okay. How's it going?
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good evening. Thank you all so much for being here, members of the council, for allowing me to speak today about our program and to consider our request for funding. We're new to the area, so we're excited to be a part of South County, and we look forward to serving the residents of Narragansett as well. Our mission is to help families keep their loved ones at home as long as possible and in their own community. We do this by providing care and support during the day in a secure and nurturing environment. Our adult day centers were the first ones in Rhode Island. We opened in 1973. Today, we actually have 4 locations, 2 in Warwick, including a memory care center, 1 in Apponaug, 1 in a Bristol center, and as well as our new center in South Kingstown. As you know, and you just heard from our colleague Terry, we responded to an RFP from the town of South Kingstown to continue the operations of the Adult Day Center, and we officially opened the site on September 21st in 2021. We are licensed by the Rhode Island Department of Health and have a capacity to serve 40 participants. We are fully staffed. We have a full-time nurse, a case manager who is also the program director, an activity director, as well as certified nursing assistants. We provide a wide range of therapeutic activities designed to engage participants mentally and physically and to promote their health and well-being so they're able to stay home with families as long as possible. And this is where we differ a bit from a senior center because we provide additional care, especially assistance with ADLs, including meals, toileting, and of course showering, which is a huge benefit to many families in the community. Additionally, we have a relationship with CareLink Rehab, so we provide physical and occupational and even speech therapy services, and we currently have some Narragansett residents who are receiving that benefit right now. We provide assistance with transportation and work closely with MTM to provide that service, and we provide information and education regarding financial resources to help pay for the adult day service. Since we opened, we've had over 50 inquiries for service. We are currently serving about 25 active families and are continuing to grow every single day. We have also assisted 10 residents of this community in Narragansett, and 6 of whom have either attended or are currently attending, and we have 2 more who are actually going to be starting in the upcoming weeks. Additionally, we're working with local agencies, including Tri-County Community Action, the Narragansett Indian Tribe, and also the POA communities of Narragansett, so we'll be working with them specifically to help identify folks who may need our resources and to come to the center. I'd just, I guess, like to close by thanking you again for considering our request for funding. These funds will be used to support our key personnel who provide the direct support and, of course, a quality program that we have been known for and hope to continue in this community. So thank you so much for your time, and if you have any questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions? I just have a question, just reading through. What kind of a, are you a nonprofit?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so the residents that use the services, it's free of charge, or is it through insurance? Or?
We have multiple ways. We do have private payer rates as well as the at-home cost share program, Medicaid. We serve a lot of folks with Medicaid. And the VA is another provider as well as respite. So there's a number of different programs that we offer to provide assistance to pay for adult day.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. All right, next we have the Samaritans of Rhode Island. Is Denise here? No? Okay. All right, so that is a request for $500. Okay. Sorry, just going through this packet. All right, from the Wildlife Rehabilitators Association of Rhode Island is Ms. Fletcher here. Okay. So their request is for $9,000, up from 9,036, which is up from 5,600. Chris or Jim, do you guys have any information on that increase? The Wildlife Rehabilitators Association? So, but they asked for a higher number, but they didn't. So we'll just read through this and see, right? Okay, so we can all read through that on our own. Okay. All right, from the Chamber of Commerce, Peg Fredette. Hey, Peg.
I haven't had a chance to thank you all personally for years past, so this is the first time I've been invited to this, so I thank you very much. So frankly, we could not have, I think, made it through the last couple of years without your help. It's been an interesting road, as we all know, for the past 2 years, and for our purposes, you know, we haven't had the ability to have our fundraisers like we normally do. So your help was unbelievably helpful. I have a colleague in the Chamber of Commerce Coalition who described chambers pretty well. He said, we're all sort of as different as snowflakes or fingerprints. And so when I look at what we do for Narragansett, we really are a marketing arm for the town. And when I think of the amount of hours that are spent, you know, in total, we really spend, I would say, 70% in the Welcome Center part of our job. So we have chamber members, of course, which we always support, but the Welcome Center part of it is what drives people to the businesses. So that's where a lot of our expenses go, is in staff to try to stay open hours where our tourists and our locals are walking the wall or visiting us or so on. So the money that you give us, frankly, goes towards our part-time help primarily. And so we're able to be open on Saturdays and Sundays and welcome people like we should be doing for the town of Narragansett. We, of course, supported the town with the PPP, the PPE, you know, the whole pandemic piece really sort of brought what we do forward a lot more than I think I even expected. So we tried really hard to work with those of you in the town as grant opportunities came or money opportunities came. We went and shot that out to the different people, whether they were members or not of the business community. We focus on nonprofits as well. So it's kind of interesting that so many nonprofits have come up here today because a lot of our fundraising we go and split a lot of that money that we raise with the Historical Society or Johnny Cake Center and so on. So we want to continue to do that. I think most of you know too that we do a lot of family-centric events. I think that's what we do better than anybody else, frankly. So we're happy to do it. We love doing it. I think we're getting known for doing things such as calamari, such as the holiday fair, and we hope to continue to do that. So anyway, that's what we do. Our budget's about $165,000 a year. It costs us about $100,000 to run the place, if you will, with you know, electricity and internet and so on and so forth. Part-time employees, again, are around 28,000 or so, and that's about it. So we have membership, your help, and then what we get from the different events that we run. And again, it's been a little lean over the last 2 years, so your help made the difference as to whether or not we could function or not.
All right, thank you, Peg. Any questions or comments for Peg? All right, thank you.
Again, really, you guys are awesome.
Okay, so next we have is there anyone here from the South County Museum? All right. How about, Joe Patrick from VFW? No, okay. Actually, the South County, I just want to see, was there no request from the South County?
There wasn't a request this year, Jesse. They're going through a change in leadership over there, and it may have
Slipped
not
through?
surfaced with their group. I don't think that, I'm not sure, but I don't think they have a director yet, a new one.
Gotcha. Yeah, I knew they had some turnover there. Okay, well, I know, we're not done.
Nobody else is here except him.
All right. So from the Narrow River Preservation Association, Mr. Grant.
Good evening. My name is Richard Grant. I'm president of the Narrow River Preservation Association, and I'm here this evening to ask for money to support the Narrow River water sampling program. And first of all, I'd like to introduce our new program manager, Rebecca Russell. And she will be answering questions and have a little speech. I just want to say that we're requesting $2,460, and the total cost of the water sampling program is about $8,000, and it's shared with North Kingstown and South Kingstown. And there are 7 sites that are in the Narragansett or off Narragansett in the river. And that program has been motivating work on the river and has a data collection for the last 31 years. And this year, the founders, Annette De Silva and Veronica Borowski, were awarded nationally for the work that they've done over the last 31 years. And just as a little sidelight, I was down at the Rhode Island Foundation asking for some money or getting some advice about how to raise money. And the gentleman in charge said, between the 3 of you, Veronica, myself, and one other person, what's the accumulated hours that you've been on the board? And we looked at each other and we added it up to be 90 years. And so we have a lot of experience. We've run the water program. It's our #1 issue. The sampling program is manned by 30 to 35 volunteers. Except for Rebecca, the entire organization management is a volunteer organization. And the sampling has shown an improvement in the water quality, and that's because of the work that the 3 towns, mostly Narragansett, have done with the what is it? BMP. Thank you. BMP work, which is a massive undertaking, and NRPA delegated by the state to be the managing guiding light in the Narrow River watershed. So we are thankful for past contributions, and let me turn it over to Rebecca.
All right, thank you. Hi, Rebecca.
Good evening, everyone. It's nice to meet folks here. As Richard mentioned, I'm the new director. Allison Cates is someone that you may have worked with in the past, in the last 5 years. And there's not a lot to add to what Richard said already, but I'll just add a couple of more detail. And I want to thank the town for funding a portion of the River Watch operating costs for a number of years now. I should have looked up how many years before our meeting tonight, but it's a sustaining request, and we did increase our request due to an increase in costs through the data analysis costs with our partners at URI through the Watershed Watch program there. They increased their costs of the total consumable costs, and the data analyses for each monitoring site increased by, I think it was 5% per site. And we have 13 monitoring sites along the river. And so the total cost is a little over $9,000. And that includes the fee that we pay for an intern at URI who assembles the data and helps us post it online so that it's publicly available for anyone to access. And the program itself really encourages that community science involvement with the public, promoting active participation in water quality protection through the residential community, and as well as the importance of obtaining multi-year water quality records, because as some of you know, it's only with long-term data trends that you can see certain patterns. And so it's been 30 years in the works that this program has been successfully operating. And it's a very cost-effective investment for the towns. We do ask each of the 3 towns in our watershed, so South Kingstown and North Kingstown also get a request from us. And it's a little over 22% of the total operating costs that we request from the town of Narragansett. And we see this as cost-effective because, as your harbor master was saying, all of the effort is volunteer as far as collecting the samples. So the only cost is to have them analyzed at URI. I think that's about it. I'll just mention, we're also really active with DEM and U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the Nature Conservancy. So the partnerships that you're feeding and funding through supporting this program go broadly and definitely affect a lot of policy and development decisions throughout the watershed. Any questions for Richard or I?
Any questions? No? All right. Thank you both.
All right, thanks.
All right, have a great night. Okay, so. Put a note and we bring it up in the third night. Oh, new?
Yeah. It's the last page.
You want to call them? Oh, last page.
Hi, Jesse, we have one more for Neighbors Helping Neighbors in Rhode Island. I don't know if Patricia Harmon is here.
Oh.
Feel free to come up. Thank you. I know this is a new request.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm Patricia Harmon. I'm Vice President of Neighbors Helping Neighbors, a volunteer board member. And we have requested, we've been around since 2014, we request funding from every town in South County. And we're delighted that you invited us to be here tonight. And thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to let you know a little more about what we do. Our vision is to basically prevent homelessness one family at a time. We provide necessary repairs to keep low-income families in their home. And they can range from little projects, fixing broken stairs, to big projects, like a whole new roof that is causing mold and mildew inside the house because it's, the rain's coming in. We serve low-income families in any town in Washington County, and they do have to meet federal income guidelines. Our funding source is entirely from grants and gifts from foundations and individuals and towns. And our labor is all volunteer. Our costs are for materials, and that's basically what we spend the money on, is materials, except in rare situations where our volunteers can't do it. It may be some plumbing or electrical that's beyond the scope of volunteers. We never know what we're going to find when we go in to evaluate a site and see what it needs. And in that case, we'll hire licensed contractors. Any budget money goes to covering our volunteers with insurance and for a mobile phone in our Zoom site so that we can have meetings. We don't have an office, and we all work out of our homes on our own equipment. And we do have some tools, however, most of which have been donated. One of the very popular things we've been doing is handicapped ramps. Sometimes people can't even get in or outside their home. Now, the Elks in South Kingstown had been doing this for a while, but they are, to the best of my knowledge, and the last we heard, no longer able to do it. Needless to say, the pandemic has caused a couple of challenges. It's made it impossible for us to hold fundraisers. It was unsafe to go into homes for a while, both for our volunteers and for the residents during lockdown. It increased the personal protective things that we needed to keep people safe when we did start going back in again. And for a while, we worked on outdoor projects. Because of that, we're not getting as many referrals as we used to, so our referrals have actually been down a little bit last year, but we fully expect them to pick up considerably again now that things are opening up. One of our neighbors that we've helped, for example, was a mother who was working but still below the poverty level with a child in college on scholarship and another one on high school. There was a safety issue with the windows. The windows were leaking, and the ones on the ground level were unsafe. They couldn't be secured, they couldn't be locked, so that was really a safety issue. That was one of our more recent projects. Additionally, we've had another single parent with undergoing cancer treatment, and they had such a severe roof leak that we needed to replace a substantial portion of the roof. Roofs are probably our most expensive. We used to be able to get help on the cost of a roof from the CDC, but that is no longer assisting with some of those projects. The same with water heaters and wells and some of the huge projects that are beyond our scope. An average roof is probably $5,000, or it was before COVID caused the building supplies to skyrocket in terms of what material costs are now, and also created a bit of a shortage on some of our special contractors that we can call in to work with. So that's what we do. As the money comes in, we spend it. We don't have a lot of applicants from Narragansett. We've probably been averaging about one a year, but we never know who's going to call when with what kind of a request. And if it's something that we can help with to keep them in their home safely, we will. We've found things from holes in floors to broken steps to doors that don't close, any number of things that really cause the property to deteriorate. We want to keep it on the tax rolls for you guys, and make it unsafe for people to live there. So our goal is to just make things as safe as we can, take care of as many people as we can with the money that comes in. And Mr. Tierney and Council, thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know this is the first time you've seen anyone from our organization, and I'm very grateful to be invited. We've requested $1,000.
All right. Well, thank you for coming. It's good to meet you. We're glad you're able to come.
Thank you very
It
much.
sounds like you guys provide a really great service.
We try, we really, and I think we do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, is that it for special appropriations? I did have one question before we move on. There was a note in some notes that you provided, either Jim or Chris, about the land trust transfer. Is that on a different night? Is it general transfers and miscellaneous?
General transfers and miscellaneous.
All right, we'll deal with it then. Okay. Thank you. All right, so we will move on to town manager.
Good evening, everyone. And for the benefit, yes, me again. For the benefit of not just the council, but the people that are home or watching, the town manager serves as the chief executive officer of the town of Narragansett. I answer to the council as a body, and my office is staffed by myself and my executive assistant. We're able to do a great job in town because we have great staff that work together on a daily basis to get things done. The annual budget for the town manager's office is virtually unchanged. It's mostly personnel costs and benefits associated with retaining the personnel. There's a few items in here that haven't been used over the years too often, but we left them in there. We're fortunate enough with office furniture. We have a line in there, but we spent very little of it because we had donations of furniture from Schneider Electric that we were able to use for desks and whatnot. And the professional meetings is also hasn't been spent in 19, 20, or 21. It's part of my the employment agreement that I can go to the conference for ICMA. Some of it canceled because of COVID. Some of it just didn't have the time to go to it. So 19, 20, 21, that was left unspent. But all in all, the budget really hasn't had any significant changes at all in the last year.
How is sorry, I don't know if you addressed this, but how's the full-time wages? How are those down?
Operator error.
Okay.
Sorry. I had put in the executive assistant for 8 hours a day, and it's only 7. So I adjusted the salary accordingly.
Okay.
Make no bones about it. She works more than 8, trust me.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean you put her in for 7? You put her in for 7?
I budgeted at 8 hours a day, right? And her hours are scheduled for 7. So I budgeted too much over the last couple of years.
Oh, but this is
1 hour.
you talk about last year?
Last year, yeah.
Last year,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
So 2023 is accurate, last year's is off. Is that right?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
No.
All right, does anyone have any questions? Okay, all right, nice and easy. Okay, so then town solicitor, page 5 and page 4 for the public.
Yeah, the town solicitor is pretty straightforward. That's the contracted amount. That's it. There's nothing to defend there.
Okay.
That I
We have the
can,
town council
anyways.
We just have one more item.
And
Okay.
then town council.
Yep, so
Last but not
town
least.
council. $50,000 for what? All right, so the town council full budget is 69.
It went up 17%, and that basically is due to the increase in the sergeant at arms and the probate judge's stipend hourly rate is being suggested.
Where's the probate, is that under professional services?
That's under your part-time wages.
Ah, gotcha. Oh, yeah, 10,000. Okay. Yeah, whatever, okay. All right, so any questions about that? All right, so thank you. So before we leave, Dan, we're just gonna leave that on for 1 second because there's someone in the audience here. Stanley, if you wanna speak, now's your chance. We're late, but come on up. We welcome your comments. Just state your full name and address, please.
Dan Wojcicki, 1044 Boston Road. I'd like to comment on the hybrid electric vehicles. I guess electric vehicles are too much. Hybrid, though, 58 miles to the gallon. So if we can find hybrid vehicles and put it anywhere in the town, that's fantastic. And then the other thing that really bothers me is with all the fancy internet and all the fancy stuff coming on, the list. Why do we need a list, a rental registration list? We know where all the houses are. We know who lives in all the houses. And if we got a noise problem, we fix the noise problem. $300,000 for a list. That's totally unnecessary. I wish we could stop the list. We don't need a list. We got the assessors list. We got the assessors list. Why do we need another list? $300-some thousand pegged into that thing. I want to take it out of there. Stop the list. You just need one list. The assessor.
Well, the good news is that you're on top of the list.
I think they took me off the list. I don't know. I think I got one.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. Anyone else interested in speaking? Okay. All right, we're going to adjourn. So thank you all. Thanks, Dan. And we'll see